we have an intervention from our visual team. Do we? Yes.
I have a question for the last speaker. Of course, NIBA is always an interesting question. Peter, I think. Peter? Yeah. I was wondering, most of the time I think about money as an architect, and I'm interested in, is there a strategy about where the Parkstad is going to find the money for the invest? You said we need investors. Is there a strategy for? Because I think no money, no game, or something like that.
Yeah, that's quite true. No money, no game. So there already are some money. Yeah, I mentioned a few projects that are already funded. For example, the infrastructure projects. The money is already there. But also for the Stadumbau, there is already about 45 million euro available to subsidize the Stadumbau.
But why would people or companies here? Why would companies invest in this project?
Well,
what's their gain?
No, companies won't invest in project when they can't get any profit. That's, of course, that's true. So the public sector is still very important for a few of the goals we have in mind. Of course, the whole Stadumbau is a thing. A lot of public money will be needed to get that through. But for example, the man who want to make his big fun park, he is going to invest his own money in it. Okay. And we have to. What we want is to by combining the public investions and the private investions, that will make be the what is it, the versneller, the multiplier right. For the transformation.
So actually you encourage people to come with projects, but they need to get their own fundings, but you help them more or less.
But we also have an IBA fund that's also needed, an IBA fund to give some money to the IBA project, just to get the quality you want. Yeah. You want that IBA projects have an excellent quality. So, and that isn't possible. It's very difficult without extra money. Okay. So we already have a funding by the province of Limburg and by the region from about 40 million euros.
Okay.
I have another small thing.
Well, I would like to open up, because we only have 15 minutes in the formal program, I would like to open up the discussion for the general theme of this evening. If you link in, then you may jump in again. But the general question we have here is, to put it bluntly, how to organize a region. Yes? Can you organize a region? And how do you do that? We had proposals looking at it from the perspective of the landscape, in which you use the physical environment as a device to organize something of a regional communality, projects, organizations, culture projects, Striedmacher, visual projects. You yourself, even in your oppositional position, you're drawing a map of the region. You're giving visual images of the region. Can we organize a region? And if we want to organize a new region, what sort of ingredients or what sort of process could we use to organize such a thing as the EU-region? Up, you had a question. Is that question already answered, or is it still hanging in the air and you want to...
Somewhere it's hanging in the air.
Okay.
I want to say something different, in the sense that I want to point at a paradox, a very interesting paradox, and I think that the more we cooperate, the more we meet each other across borders, the more we travel to Heerlen or to Aachen or to the Drie Landen point, the more we encounter the differences. So the more we become aware that the region is very, very different nationally, regionally. And then in this paradox, I think the region becomes very interesting, becomes challenging and motivating to cooperate even more because we encounter and we discover the differences. And well, it's not so easy to construct an identity of a region which has a history of so many different cultural influences, nationally bounded or regionally bounded. But it must be possible to use the differences and to use the diversity of the region to make it more attractive, to stimulate cross-border connections and contacts. That's what my view on. So it's not. I think it's a myth to talk about one regional identity, but in this diversity we
was that also your sort of image behind Tropolis? This diversity, this context of diversity.
Well, I think.
But if you could use the microphone, then we.
Well, about diversity, I was wanting to make a remark on that because there's a similarity to the web where people have different identities, and I think something similar is happening here, where you are some part of your identity is Limburg or maybe just the small town you're from, because people in this region tend to be very local. On the other side, you're part, especially if you work in the creative industries, you're part of global movements even, or national movements. So there are all these different kinds of realities, but there is this very interesting reality of a region, which is of course a lot of difference, but there's also this pragmatic approach. Well, if you live in an area which has 3.9 million people in it, then you have critical mass, and for some movements, for some interesting things to happen, you have to have critical mass. I think that's something behind the idea of Tropolis.
Okay. So it's not only diversity, it's also density. Yeah. Okay. Yes, Rick.
Yeah, if you give me the microphone.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Might be better. Adding some things, or this is what I had in mind too, is what about diversity? What about the differences, which are quite interesting in this region? They are here because of the border. Yeah, it's maybe another world if I go on the Belgium side or go to the Netherlands, and if you see the Parkstadt, the Grand Canyon Valley that is built up, that will never happen in Germany. It's wonderful to just go over the border, and there you have maybe such an investment, 30 millions. We will never bring that up in Tagebau Inden, for example, yeah? But you can do it. So the question is really, we don't want to homogenize the things, but we want to connect the people, and it's indeed a paradox, yeah? I was thinking at the British Railway, when the British Railway was built, all the different towns that were connected, they all had different times, yeah? And because of the railway and the schedule, they were forced to have one time. So this is always...
So, but then there is the clear sort of perverse consequence of this, yes?
Yeah, so this is
Which is as soon as you cross borders and you get rid of the borders,
yeah.
You're losing the diversity which makes the place interesting to begin with.
Yeah, so we have to think of that, yeah? So combining, yes, but not losing the interesting differences. And yeah, this is a quite, it's a question of culture.
Rick, you.
I think it's, you have to, you can't push it too hard, otherwise it will break. This is the thing. I mean, the problem with the whole Euregio Maas Rhein thing originally, for the past 20, how long has it existed? Yeah. 40 years, and the fact that after 40 years, so many people still don't even know what it is should make us think, why? You know, it was a political construction. It was not a humane, aesthetic, artistic construction. And it didn't mean anything to the people. Of course, these differences, you know, we've been talking about this for the past 2 years. Of course, the whole idea of everything we're talking about, it's not about getting rid of the differences and everything, but it's about giving people the opportunity, if they want to, when they want to come together on certain levels and to appreciate the fact that they have the opportunity to come together on a certain level. What I really liked about your pitch, and I'm glad you liked the idea of the soft city, what I liked about your pitch was the fact that you're brave enough to say, this is an imaginary thing, this is a vision, you know, and because I think it's much more interesting to be attempting to be happy in an imaginary city than to be frustrated in a real city, you know, and I think that's what we're talking about here as well tonight, you know. It's about giving the opportunity to people to develop a system so that when and if they want to come together and experience some sort of a community or regional type of an experience, they can. This is what Schrittmacher does once a year, once a month. For those, maybe not everyone knows what that is. It's a dance festival that we have, which is happening in Aachen and in Herlen. And so once a month now, there are 10,000 people who are discovering that there's a theater in Herlen, which they didn't know about before, going back and forth across the city, coming together, experiencing something together, and that's fine. And then they separate again. But the fact that it is there. And to close, also I think the idea of the internet is a good example too, because my generation, I will never feel comfortable in the internet. The internet will always, for me, be something which I learned to work with, but it remains closed to me somehow because I can't do it the way my children can do it. But if we can create a system in the Euregio for the next generation, like the young generation is now on the internet, then they will naturally fall into it and they will accept it and see it and use it in a different way than we did. So this is, I think, the goal.
So what does that imply about where should we start in organizing that region? Do we have something which gives us a clue about where to start, or should we have something? Should we have different tracks going along together? I mean, whatever, landscape and human connections and culture projects. Yes, go on.
What I want to say before, but now you also said it, that the most important thing is they are the people. They need to feel it. So you need to open your eyes and look what is over there. And there are many projects, but small projects maybe, and maybe projects without much money. But there are the projects, and we need to catch the people. They need to be willing to cross the borders. Otherwise, everything is hot air. You know, we don't need to talk about it. We need to feel it. We need to do it. We need to talk about it. We need to connect.
Okay.
I think this is, you cannot put something from up above and say, oh, this is a new name or something like that. You need to live it, and it's about just to do things together, I think.
So we should have more projects even. We should have more of these interconnected projects. Yes, I see two hands. Yes, you over there. Yeah. Please use the microphone because this is recorded and it was broadcasted and all that.
Ich denke, das ist hier irgendjemand, der kein Deutsch versteht. Gut, also ich rede jetzt Deutsch. Das mag ein Regelbuch sein, aber ich spreche jetzt gerne mal die Regel. Also, ich denke, das große Problem... Nervig. Ich denke, das große Problem ist, dass Projekte sind, die fangen irgendwann mal an und irgendwann sind sie vorbei. Diese Regionale 2008 war der größte Scheiß, den es gab. Super viel Geld und jeder ist vor Ort geblieben. Das war, schöne Fahrradkarte, ich benutze sie gerne, aber es hat keine Konsequenzen für die Zukunft. So kleine Projekte, wo sich Leute vernetzen, wie die Designmetropole, wie hier iBetter, das könnte was sein. Aber die Sache ist doch die, man sitzt hier in Aachen, überlegt, ich gucke mir mal gerne einen Film an. Ja, der läuft noch nicht bei uns, da will ich mal das vielleicht gerne in Herlen machen. Ja, wo kriegt man die Infos her? Da ist schon das Problem. Man weiß nicht, wann läuft der Film in Heerlen. Da muss man googeln, dann muss man wissen, wie heißt das jetzt auf Niederländisch? Ach, es heißt Bioskop. Gut, da gucke ich mal Bioskop und Heerlen. Ja, da läuft der Film. Gut, warum gibt es da nicht eine originale Plattform, auch für dann Low-Kultur sozusagen? Oder dann der ÖV. Wenn Leute jetzt nachts um 3 Uhr von Köln nach Aachen fahren wollen, das geht. Komisch. Wenn man von Lüttich nach Aachen will, geht es auch, wenn man mit dem Fahrrad fährt oder mit dem Auto. Aber wenn man angetrunken ist, sollte man nicht mit dem Fahrrad fahren oder mit dem Auto. Genauso mit den Niederlanden. Da fährt auch irgendwann kein Bus mehr. Also wird es dann natürlich auch keinen Austausch geben über Nacht. Es ist eben dieser IBA-Gedanke, da kommt dann dasselbe wie im Originalen 2008. Das wird dann ein nettes Projekt sein. Ich freue mich auch für die Leute, die bei diesen Dienststellen angestellt sind. Mein Gott, bin ich neidisch! Das ist wirklich, nee.
Okay. But even if you want to visit the cinema in Heerlen and you want to have the night bus back home, there has to be an infrastructure which organizes that. Yes? We will have to have some sort of regional infrastructure.
Ja, gekauft. Den letzten Gedanken, den möchte ich noch äußern. Hier in Aachen ist ja einmal im Jahr so Partnerstadt und sowas. Da sind dann Leute aus Naumburg, aus Russland, aus China, aus Reims, hast du nicht gesehen? Aber warum gibt es das nicht, dass an einem Tag pro Jahr in jeder Stadt dann von den anderen Euregio-Städten die Leute da sind? Was ist das für ein Schwachsinn? Gut.
Okay. Peter, I think it's time for you to respond. There is a suggestion then, as you said, it's done by the people. Yeah? There is a strong feeling that you have to organize, in a certain sense, opportunities for people to start to meet and mingle and build community projects and be interested in the other, etc., etc. And in order to do that, you need some sort of infrastructure. Is that something which is taken on board in IBA? Do you take that seriously, such a perspective?
Yes,
or
of course.
Is IBA going to be another sort of, what was this, Regional 2008 project?
Yeah, but I understand the skepsis of that person, but you don't have an alternative. No, nein, du hast keine Alternative. Du hast nur gesagt, was nicht gut geht. Aber natürlich müssen die Voraussetzungen, die müssen kreiert werden, dass die Leute auch, was du sagst, was zwischen Köln und Aachen möglich ist, das ist nicht zwischen Aachen und Lüttich möglich. Und es ist auch nicht zwischen Aachen und Heerlen möglich. Also man muss das herstellen. Will man die Leute die Chance geben, um das auch wirklich zu machen, dann müssen die Voraussetzungen kreiert werden. Und wenn wir das nicht machen, und ich denke, dass eine IBA ein wirklich gutes Instrument ist, um die herzustellen. Und natürlich sind da auch Fehler gemacht. Ich habe auch die nötige, nötige Frust über die Euregionale 2008. Aber das können wir besser machen. Und wir haben gesehen, dass es auch im Emscher Park doch etwas bringt, so eine IBA. Und wir müssen vor allen Dingen lernen von den Sachen, die gut gegangen sind und die gut gehen können, aber auch lernen von den Sachen, die wir falsch gemacht haben. Aber ich denke, und das ist eine der wichtigsten Sachen, die wir hier jetzt nennen, die Leute, die machen die Zusammenarbeit und nicht Organisationen oder Infrastruktur oder so. Aber das sind die Voraussetzungen, die wir nötig haben, um das auch wirklich hinzubekommen. Und dabei kann in meiner Hinsicht eine IBA auch wirklich helfen.
Okay, another question from the public. Either in German or in English or in Dutch. We open the floor for different languages.
On doit parler français, évidemment.
No. There's a limit to everything. Yes.
Je vais continuer en anglais, and if necessary in Dutch. I'd like to come back to your question, Hans. Can we organize a region? There are examples all over the world, attempts to organize a region. And I will give you one example, although I would like to go on with other examples, but I will stick to one. The area of Lille is a former industrial area with manufacturing and coal, just like this one. But when I first came there in the early 70s, there was already a group of people willing to see the need to do something about the position of that region. And over the decades, there still has been a group of people willing to take initiatives because they saw the necessity, the sense of urgency to do something, to change the natural course of things, because otherwise Lille had gone down and down and down. Just in the same way as the economy in the Parkstad region has gone down and down. But due to the initiatives of these people, and in particular someone like the mayor Morois, who has been a mayor and then a prime minister in France, and who has given subsidies to this region. Well, it's a very French way of dealing with the cumul des mandats, donc with very subsidies on top of subsidies, etc. But nevertheless, there has been a group of people willing to organize and willing to accept that organizing a region takes decades. It takes endurance.
Okay, so it takes time, yeah, but we also need energy.
Yes.
Yeah? We need the energy of the people
Right.
who
absolutely, I
feel
agree.
the urgency, or feel the opportunity, or feel the sort of curiosity to do something with that region.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. And
And
then you need some leadership if you want to.
You've been studying cross-border connections, yeah, the history of cross-border connections. Yes.
First remark is that Lille is, of course, a very French city, and it's especially the national aspect of it, which makes it very interesting, because it did not cooperate with Courtrai, or so it was a nationally bounded project, and we have to. I think the same issue is going on and on here also. The IBA project in Heerlen is a Dutch IBA project. How much they try to make it regional, and so it is. I think it's an illusion to think that you can construct a unity in a region as diverse and with a diverse history and diverse cultures, diverse administrative cultures, a diverse way of handling things, different financial constructions as the region is, and you have to accept that. And you have to work with it, and you have to use the differences to produce something new. And it's also very interesting that from the perspective of Aachen, the Euregio is perhaps theoretically the Euregio as we have it administratively, but in reality, the region for Aachen is where the Euregiobaan ends in Heerlen, or perhaps in Eupen. So from the mental map of people who talk about the region in this area, it stops somewhere halfway the province of Liège and the province of Limburg, and nobody knows how Tongeren looks, or Maasijk, or Hasselt, or Belgian Limburg, or even Liège is very strange for Aachen. And it's the same the other way around. People from Hasselt never go to Aachen or don't know Germany. So the region is in fact a patchwork of cross-border connections around the national borders, which each one invokes the concept of a region, but in fact is not working with the region at all. So this is, I think...
So there are, in a certain sense, what you're saying is there are different realities in it. There is an
There are-
administrative reality there as it's a Euregion,
Yeah.
but at the same time, below that administrative reality, there are other realities, other associations.
Right.
But at the same time, these other associations also deliver energy. Yeah?
They-
New economic opportunities,
Right. So
or going to the cinema in Maastricht, or
I think
somewhere
that's
else.
also the future of cross-border cooperation and cross-border living together and acting together is on this much lower level than the region. It's between Maastricht and Liège and perhaps the Belgian cross-border part, or between Heerlen, Parkstad Limburg and Aachen, Aachen-Eupen. But it's not the region as an administrative unit with the 4 provinces which makes it. This inevitably will remain an abstraction and an administrative, perhaps useful to get subsidies.
Okay, are there people in the audience who will not be able to sleep when they haven't asked their urgent question? So you're all able to sleep later on because you have asked all your urgent questions. Yes, there is one. Yes, go ahead. There's a microphone over there. Oh, there are 2 even. Okay, right. Two brief ones, 2 short ones then.
Yeah. I want to link on your last remark, and I am working for the EU region since 30 years. That's my item for my life. And I want to say again, don't forget the systems.
Ja.
That was the problem of the Euregionale 2008. Ich sage es mal auf Deutsch, es ist immer noch einfacher. Es war einfach eine falsche Verpackung. Es wurde gesagt, es soll die Euregionale 2008 sein und es gab nur nationales Geld. Das kann nicht funktionieren. Ne? Und ich glaube, wenn wir nicht aufhören, lauter nationale Systeme auf die Euregio zu transformieren, das geht auch schief, das kann nicht funktionieren. Deshalb, wenn die Diskussion weiter organisiert wird, müsste da eine andere Perspektive rein.
Ja, okay.
Das ist mir wirklich ein Anliegen, weil ich gehöre auch zu denjenigen, die für euregionale Projekte brennen, und ich habe meinem ganzen Berufsleben nie was anderes gemacht. Aber ohne einen klaren Blick auf die Realitäten kann man auch keine Visionen entwickeln. Also das muss beide Seiten machen.
It's too simple a vision to only focus on the sort of small activities of people. These activities have to be enabled, and for that enablement you need systems. Yeah? Systems will have to enable the sort of cross-border activities. But, yes?
Yes, ja, klar, das stimmt. Und was Sie gesagt haben, stimmt auch. Das ist alles richtig. Aber das sind alles Argumente auch dafür, auch für diese Arbeit. Denn diese Systeme, die müssen funktionieren. Man muss auf der praktischen Seite, das muss funktionieren. Es muss eine gewisse Selbstlosigkeit dabei sein, von allen Seiten investieren und nicht nur national, sondern über die Grenzen hinaus denken. Die Grenzen müssen aber bleiben. Das ist das Spannende. Sonst kann man nicht über die Grenzen gehen. Es heißt nicht umsonst Across the Borders, unser Festival. Das ist doch viel spannender, als wenn die weg wären. Aber die große Energie dahinter muss bleiben. Und das ist das Glauben, dass das was bringt, wenn man daran arbeitet, dass es besser wird, als es jetzt ist, oder dass es gewisse Vorteile mit sich bringt. Und dieses Glauben, das ist die Energie, von der du sprichst. Und das heißt, alles ist richtig, aber man muss trotzdem diese Vision haben, und es müssen diejenigen geben, die daran glauben, denn es ist so unglaublich viel Arbeit, wie Sie auch mit Recht sagen, schon einfach Tickets hier zu verkaufen. Und dann Tickets für das Theater da drüben im anderen Land zu kaufen. Schon das zu organisieren, ist ein Albtraum. Aber wenn man dann soweit ist, dann ist es viel, viel schöner. Es ist viel schöner. Und so können wir konkurrieren mit anderen. Dieses Pitch mit dem, ich weiß nicht, ob alle das erkannt haben, das ist London. Das ist die U-Bahn-Karte von London, die man bei Tropolis gesehen hat. Vergisst bitte nicht, dass auch in London die Menschen nördlich von dem Thames, die würden niemals auf die Idee kommen, nach Süden zu gehen. Die South Londoners, die wollen nichts mit den North Londoners zu tun haben, auch im Osten und so. Aber alle betrachten sich als Londoner. Und das ist der Gedanke hier.
Okay, eine letzte Frage.
Ja, also ich habe mich gefragt, was die Politik in den verschiedenen Ländern, ob die sich mal zusammentun und sie sich organisieren, um ein euregionales Feld zu schaffen. Ja, weil das sind 3 Sprachen und jetzt haben wir schon den Euro, das ist ja auch schon ganz klasse, ist nicht mehr so schwierig. Aber die Sprachen sind noch schwierig, da kann man die Schulen zusammenpacken und da mal fragen, aber es ist eine politische Sache, um da die Wege zu organisieren. Ja, und die Straßenwege natürlich. Ich habe heute sehr viel Architektur gehört. Das fand ich auch ein bisschen so an den Menschen vorbei. Wenn die Menschen vor der Politik in Euregio gefragt, gibt es eine euregionale Politik?
Aha. Peter, iets voor jou?
Ja, vielleicht. Es gibt keine wirkliche regionale Politik. Man hat natürlich die EMR, die hat ein bisschen Politik, aber nicht wirklich. Und wir haben probiert, und das hat zum Beispiel Lille hat das gemacht, eine EVTZ zu machen. Also wirklich eine politische Entität herzustellen. Das ist in Lille ist das gelungen, über die Grenze mit Kortrijk und wie heißt das da noch mehr? Nicht, dass das auch wirklich das bringt, aber es gibt schon etwas von Entität. Und wir waren in 2000 und, wie war das? Da war noch gerade der Bürgermeister Linden da und Herrn Meulenberg, der Landrat war da und bei uns war es Herr Gresel, der war Bürgermeister von Heerlen und da hatten wir in Holland einen Staatssekretär, der hieß Franz Timmermans und die haben sich zusammengesetzt und die haben gesagt, wir machen das auch, wir machen auch ein EVTZ, wir machen eine gemeinsame politische Entität hier in dieser Region. Und da ist Linden ist gegangen, Meulenberg ist gegangen, Gresel ist gegangen, Timmermans ist gegangen und da sind wir ganz von vornherein, haben wir da gestanden mit Marcel Philipp und mit Paul de Pla und mit ganz neuen Leuten und die haben alles gesagt, nein, das machen wir nicht. Also da sind wir ganz von vorne herein, haben wir da angefangen.
Okay.
Ja, genau. Aber ich möchte ein Ding noch mal sagen, was wir da auch am Anfang in 2006 war ich mit Toine Gresel bei Jürgen Linden und bei Herrn Meulenberg und da kamen wir zurück und da hat der Gresel zu mir gesagt, diese Besprechung ging wirklich ganz mühsam. Und hat er gesagt, Mensch, die Zusammenarbeit mit den Deutschen, das ist wirklich sehr schwierig, hat er gesagt. Und da habe ich gesagt, ja, das stimmt. Aber wenn es uns hier nicht gelingt, mit wem müssen wir dann noch zusammenarbeiten?
That's a good cliffhanger. That's a traditional cliffhanger, classical cliffhanger. We use that one as the cliffhanger for bridging this session with our next session. In a month from now, we meet again in Hasselt. Yeah, and in fact, we're going to talk in Hasselt about EU-regional spatial policy. Yeah. Can we develop something for EU-regional spatial policy? So you're all invited to come to Hasselt. Look at the website of this event, come to Hasselt, and you see there the pre-conclusion of this series. I want to thank all the participants. I want to thank all the speakers. I want to thank our oral panel. I want to thank our visual panel. I want to thank our image manager. And I want to thank you as an audience for an interesting evening. Thank you very much. Sure.